I'm David Dague. I'm a Bungie community manager. If you check me out on the Bungie blog, you'll see me posting under the name of Dague. As the Bungie community manager, I am here to lead our fiercely passionate, highly critical, and deeply engaged community into the brave new world that we've created that we're calling Destiny.
And obviously, you had the beta recently.
Yes.
So, what do you think was the most important thing you learned from that?
The best learning that came from the beta is the fact that this brave new world that we've created behaves properly when it is populated. That's the whole goal, is to bring people together into this shared space so they can have these adventures, they can bounce off of each other, they can help each other complete their missions and defeat their enemies, or they can battle each other in the Crucible. 4.6 million people rallied to that call. They downloaded our game, they played our game, they created Guardians, they went out on missions. At one point in time, when we invited everybody to go explore the moon together, the Destiny beta became the most simultaneously played Bungie game in our history. Over 850,000 Guardians played the beta at the same time, which was more people that we saw online playing our game at the same time than anything we'd ever created before. That was huge for us. It taught us a lot about how we need to support this game on the back end, taught us a lot about how we can improve the backbone that's going to bring everyone together into this shared world. At the same time, anytime people play our game, anytime they put hands on a controller, we learn a little bit more about the experience that we want to create for them. So we've been able to make changes about how people gain experience. We've been able to enhance the nuances of how the arsenal and the combat abilities counter each other. We've made changes to how vehicle combat influences gameplay. There are a lot of things that we can do behind the scenes to make sure that the launch of Destiny on September 9th is as good and stable and quality as we can make it.
Well, that's what I was going to ask next, because obviously there were a few issues, as you would expect, teething troubles with the beta, PS4, noticeably at the start. Do you think day one, someone's going to come home with Destiny, be able to get online and have some fun?
That's certainly the goal. That's certainly why we conducted the beta. We've made an enormous investment in the infrastructure that will support this game. Some of the original minds that contributed to the creation of Xbox Live still work at Bungie, and they've gone back to the drawing board to invent new technology that will support our game, to bring people together to share experiences. That's always been one of our objectives as a developer. Destiny is the evolution of that heritage. It's the new experience that we want to give to players. We want to give them adventures that they can share with each other. We want them to be able to team up and take down enemies together. And we want them to have chance encounters with people that they've never met before. The game should have an infinite capacity to surprise people for that very reason, because it's a game where people come together and add that human element to the explosive moments that we've created for them to enjoy.
Were you surprised by how much people were not playing the game as Destiny, so much so as they were climbing up the towers, taking photos with their friends, throwing balloons on air vents? Was that something you expected?
We put all that stuff in the game so they would enjoy it. Whenever people actually adopt to that stuff, when we see the game become a party, when we see the game become a competitive arena or a storybook or a social lounge, it's reassuring, it's inspiring, it's educational for us. We've always had a very close symbiotic relationship with the community. Bungie loves to know the player of our games. They show us what we have created. That's the proof that they add, is the way they behave, the way they express themselves creatively, the way they come together to create something that is bigger than the game. These are the things that inform us as to how we can innovate and how we can expand on that experience over the longer timeline.
I mean, there was obviously a few things in the beta that, were they meant to be there? We had that thing where someone fell through the map and they found a hidden bunker. Was that put in there just for a bit of fun for people to find?
We like to We like to create a stable experience so that we can guide a player down a linear path where they can have a great adventure. We certainly don't want people slipping through the geometry and discovering things before, they have earned the right to, but this is why we test. When someone comes in to play something like the beta, they become an honorary member of our development team. So people who punch holes in the world, they show us where the world needs to be patched. We can go back and we can do those things. So from the beta tester who goes in and shows us where our game can be improved, to the person who comes in off the street into our studio to play our game in the lab as part of the Bungie user research program, we have given our community a number of different opportunities to join us in the development of this thing. We've developed Destiny in lockstep with the Bungie community and just sort of extended the rich heritage of how we partner with the people who play our games to make them better.
Obviously, you talked about how critical the community can be as well, which is, once you're on the internet, that's to be expected.
Sure.
Is there anything that was in the beta that you did get any negative feedback about?
I think people always have ideas as to how their favorite games can be better, and we love listening to that sort of feedback. Nobody's helping us if all they do is pay us compliments. In fact, if somebody is a little too effusive about how much they love the game, we'll tell them, what didn't you love? What would you like for us to improve upon? How can we make this better is always the way we think at Bungie. We're a bunch of perfectionists. We never feel like our work is truly finished. We release it into your hands because we want you to play it. We do believe that this art form is not complete until it's received, but people were certainly willing to talk to us about the balance of vehicular gameplay or the way one class might overpower another class. These are the things that we debate endlessly in our own playtest labs. We don't want there to be one logical choice for you to make as you equip yourself to enter the competitive arena. We don't want one class of Guardian to be the only logical choice when you're going to create a character that you want to dominate in that living social landscape. So when people tell us about these things, absolutely we listen. That stuff is extremely valuable to us in the way we make our decisions.
Obviously, post-launch, I assume you've got a dedicated team for hotfixes, looking after balancing,
Absolutely.
That kind of thing.
Yeah, we want to support this game from the moment it launches until the moment when people stop playing it, which some of us hope is never. This is a dynamic experience. This is a dynamic game where we can support it on the fly. Even during the beta, we were making changes to make the beta build stronger. When people return to orbit, we were able to apply patches, we were able to fix the game, enhance the game, and this is something we're going to do on a regular basis. We're going to make sure that there's always something new for you to do in the world of Destiny. We're going to put a lot of effort into supporting this game, not just through expansion packs like we revealed the other night, but just in terms of the base investment. People who buy Destiny and that's all they want is the base game. That's something that we can make dynamic, and that's something that we can support over the longer timeline to make sure that people have a great experience playing that game.
In terms of, say you have to patch something, is that going to be a subtle experience? Is it going to be behind the scenes? Are people going to have to stop playing to download patches? What kind of thing are you...
Yeah, we don't want to interrupt gameplay. If you're in orbit, you really are sort of in a default state for the game. That is really, if you're in your ship hovering over your favorite destination, that's a moment where we can say, before you return to the tower or before you go to conduct your next mission, we would like to update your game for you. But that could be something that's simple behind the scenes that you won't even detect, or it could be sweeping changes that balance out the sandbox in a way that we would prefer.
In terms of, obviously you've got the strike missions, which generally require more than one player.
Yes.
Are you worried that some players, there is always people who like to play alone, are they going to be locked out of certain parts of the game?
Well, we can matchmake a strike. You certainly don't have to cooperate with other players to complete these things. We've seen people go in solo and do those sorts of things. There are forms of content like raids, which will depend on teamwork, will depend on you making very deliberate and specific choices as to who you bring with. But Destiny is a very diverse experience. There are many different ways to play. There are many different types of activities, and players will be able to find their own favorite way to play. You're absolutely welcome in the world of Destiny as a fire team of one. You can play throughout the entire story of this game without relying on another person to cover you. There are certain activities as with previous Bungie games, that are designed to be cooperative in nature. You know, people who may have played Firefight in Halo 3 ODST, people who may have played the campaign cooperatively over the internet. We give people options, give people the opportunity to sample the game in many different ways. Personally, as a player of former Bungie games, there was some content I left on the table just because it was designed outside of my comfort level in terms of difficulty or in terms of social engagement, but I always got a wealth of content from a Bungie game that was ideally designed for my preferences as a player. We're doing the same thing with Destiny. We're providing players with even more ways to enjoy the living social landscape that we've created for you to explore.
I mean, outside of obviously the DLC, are there any other ways you think you can extend the life of the game? Because you're always going to get those players who,
sure,
day one, games come out, I'm going to play this 24/7.
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely. And we're going to keep them guessing. We've got some interesting tricks up our sleeve that we can still use to surprise them. There will be daily, weekly events that will challenge you in different ways. Obviously, the competitive arena is infinitely replayable simply because you haven't battled every single Guardian out there yet. If people tell us, I've done everything there is to do in Destiny, we'll say there's no way that you have. Have you played every single activity in the game as every single Guardian at every single difficulty level? Have you found every secret that we've tucked away in the landscape? Have you opened every single loot chest and lured rare items into your inventory? There are a lot of things to do. There's endgame content where you craft your own story even after the narrative have reached its dramatic conclusion. We can poke and prod Destiny so that it doesn't lose its capacity to surprise you as a player.
And talking of the DLC, obviously the word exclusive at the moment is the hot topic button on a lot of things. Mm-hmm. Is certain DLC going to be locked to certain systems, or are we looking further down the line that everyone's going to have everything? You have pre-order bonuses, you have console exclusives.
Well, in terms of Bungie and the way we develop games, we feel like DLC is sort of a passé term. We're releasing what we call expansion packs because it does build this experience out in every direction. It gives us new stories that we can tell you. It provides you with new weapons and gear that you can go out and secure for yourselves. There are new cooperative activities. There is an advantage to the PlayStation player in that they get these things first. But over a long enough timeline, everything that we create and put into Destiny will be available to the entire player base.
All right then, so in 10 words or less, tell me why people should buy Destiny.
There are so many ways to play. There's something in there for you.
Sweet. Excellent.
There are so many ways to play. There's something, whatever, man. Whatever.